Welcome to episode 269 of the Working Fans Podcast, where today, myself and the man called Dave are going to talk last weekend's watch along, Raw this week, NXT, Kofi Kingston and Nic Nemeth, Wrestledream. But you know, we start out every show talking about Game Up Hard Hydration. It's like your favorite sports drink, your favorite seltzer, got together, had a baby, but it's so much better. And most importantly, they have sponsored 2024 for the Working Fans Podcast. So you know we love talking about them. And Dave loves telling you what they're all about.
Oh, yeah. It's only 110 calories, guys. It's a low-carb drink, full flavor, and those flavors are fruit punch, orange, lemon lime, and grape. Enjoy yourself some Game Up and enjoy our show.
So last weekend, we had the Bad Blood watch along. Dave, this might be my favorite pay-per-view of the year, or premium live event of the year. That Hell in a Cell match lived up to everything I wanted. Yes. That main event was just such a it had like a big fight feel to it, and the surprise at the end. What were some of your general thoughts about that, and how did you enjoy the first watch along in a while?
I enjoyed it overall. It was definitely, I remembered like, oh man, that's right. These things are a little longer, but I enjoyed it overall. I think what really made it enjoyable for me, yes, that Hell in a Cell was good. And I will say this too, listening to reviews of the show, I think there was some lulls definitely in that pay-per-view, but I don't feel that as bad when I'm talking wrestling with you and some of the people that are chiming in. It's almost like it makes it a little more fun to watch because you're talking wrestling with all these people. But that being said, even if I just watched it straight, that Hell in a Cell match was such an old school, brutal type match. And then in the end, the last bit of the match, we're really building where, people are getting put through tables and everything going on with Roman and Solo. But then at the end, when the Bloodline jumps Cody after Jimmy Uso returned and Jimmy convinces Roman to get back in, we get The Rock come back, right? So that all was just really huge stuff. But I think personally, too, what else really made this for me was how they had the legends throughout the show, the different wrestlers, whether it was Tully and Iron Anderson or a Mickey James or a Dallas Page. They were all positioned in a way like they actually meant something. They had value, and they were being, like they had a lot of people in the hip hop rap industry there too, but you had the wrestlers on like the same link. Like Vince would have always put these people outside the business, like, oh, look at these stars coming to our world. But we didn't just do that. We also put the classic, the legendary wrestlers on that same plateau. And for me, I don't know if a lot of people talked about that, but that kind of helped make the show for me.
Yeah, there was almost more legends on this show than on Bad Blood 97, which we may be talking about in the coming weeks. But yeah, I didn't feel any lulls in the show, but I think that is attributed to the fact that we were just talking the whole time. So if we're not enjoying the matches, we're creating conversation. We're going to do something else. So we don't feel as many of the dips in the show. And we've got a big watch along coming up this weekend, so we might be feeling the dips in that. And one show that we definitely didn't feel the dips in was the start of the 2-hour Raws on USA. I've heard mixed reactions to this. What did you think of the first week of 2-hour Raws?
I liked it. It was an easier show to watch. I definitely know it felt rushed at different times. Like, it definitely felt like, Sammy and Gunther was a good match, but it felt like, we had to get to that finish a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I know one of our friends wasn't really happy with the finish of the Pete Dunne Sheamus matchup, but that was a great match. Like, I watched that and I was like, oh, wow, that was a great ending. I think if you're a big fan of Pete Dunne, you probably think, well, this guy deserves more, but damn, the people react to Sheamus right now. Like, he is so over. Like, I'm more of a Pete Dunne guy too, but it's just like, it's hard to deny. This guy gets such a big response. But overall, I thought it was a fun show. I liked it. It felt faster paced, but I can definitely see where some stuff was rushed. I feel like it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to see this far into his career. And like, I don't know, Sheamus is like, I feel like a good centerpiece character for WWE, not like a main star, not somebody you can job out, but like a nice mid card.
He's
And
a
as he goes on, he still gets a reaction. He still
he's,
thrives.
yeah,
I
he's a
think it's
Tito
this
Santana
feud.
of his era. He's he's one of those mid card guys that he might have been on the top at one point, like a Pedro Morales too, but now he's in the middle. But he's still going to get great reactions and still put on great matches.
Yeah, the feud's been big. That match was good. I mean, Raw did feel a little quick, but I mean, I'm preferring those 2 hour shows to the 3 hour ones. Maybe it's just the change in format. I thought it was a great start for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to see where they go forward with this. I think they can really do some interesting things the end of this year. And I read a report that's interesting about Raw in 2025 that the debut on Netflix is almost going to be like I heard like a pay-per-view level show or a premium live event level show.
The,
So that's interesting to hear. I mean, you would expect it with a debut on Netflix, but I'm
but
looking forward to riding out this year on 2 hour Raws.
they're also looking at a stadium possibly.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would
so
definitely be different for
a Raw.
Raw.
Yeah,
I could get behind that. And
I
that
think
would really like supercharge the show, like really load it up, get people watching. Another show that a lot of people watch this week. And I got to ask cuz you had the choice to watch between these two live, correct?
yeah, I did.
Which did you choose and why did you choose that show?
NXT because it was just on already. It started at 8 o'clock. I got home about 8:15, and AJ had it running, so I just started watching it. And I enjoyed both. I did end up putting AEW. I was watching some of it at the same time, but then I finished watching AEW the next day. Um, it's kind of funny because we talked about it before. One of my least favorite characters, I think, is Tony D'Angelo. I think it's a little cartoonish. But damn, I thought they really did a good job with that, with him and Obafemi. Like the crowd was reacting to it, and I thought, man, it's a great story. Like watching that live, that felt like one of my favorite things on the whole night. I thought they did a good job with Kalani Jordan teaming her with Bianca and Jade. I thought Javon they didn't really do many favors to. I didn't enjoy like it was fine for what it was. It's what I expected. But then I also thought it was a little weird that they said based off his impressive performance, he'd be in a three-way next week with Leslie and Ethan Page. I'm looking forward to that, but I thought that was a weird way to put him in that match after a loss. Overall, I liked it. I enjoyed AEW. I actually really enjoyed Don Callis and Will Ospreay on that show. I thought that their confrontation, setting everything up with that, with Takeshita and everything, I thought was really good. The tease of Kyle Fletcher on what he's going to do. Brian Danielson, and possibly his last AEW Dynamite match. As a full-time performer. I thought that was a little anticlimactic because I thought I was cool that he came out to the final countdown on a Dynamite episode and everything because he doesn't play that song all the time. But I thought, man, like Brian Danielson should be feeling bigger and bigger. Like this is a really good chance. This is his last match as a full-time competitor this weekend. And it feels like it's just kind of just coming up.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about Wrestledream. As far as these two shows, I wasn't able to watch NXT live because I got home a little late that night. So I caught up with AEW. I thought both shows were good, but NXT is just on such a roll lately that I feel like I enjoyed that show a little more. AEW, from what I've heard from a few podcasts, didn't do itself many favors on Tuesday night by not hyping up that they were going to be on a different night. So
Yeah,
that had to hurt them in viewers.
it
And I
did.
don't know if you really want to do that the week that you're going into pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it was their lowest rated Dynamite of all time. I could be wrong, but I think they only got like 370,000 views. It was a different night, obviously. But yeah, NXT got like still about 870, 850, something like that. They were in the high, almost 9 again. I think they were down slightly from their initial debut on the CW. So yeah, not a good night for AEW in terms of viewers. But I mean, as a fan, I thought both shows were pretty good.
100%. Now we are going to the newest comparison. I saw you put one up recently, and I really like this because Kofi Kingston, Nic Nemeth, better in ring. And when I first saw this, I thought it's a lock. It's got to be Nemeth. He's got the Kent State wrestling history. He's just so smooth in the ring. But then you think of Kofi doing it for so many years with the New Day, before that by himself. Who is your pick, and kind of what made you decide to put these two together? Is it just that they're both so fluid in the ring and just so
Oh,
crisp with their moves?
I wanted to do some newer people. I go with a lot of old school people, and these guys have had both successful careers. There obviously haven't been, they haven't been a franchise player, but they both have had cup of coffees with world championships in WWE, and they were both were staples of the Intercontinental and US title and tag titles, and they just consistently brought out great matches. And I just thought really the parallels between these two was just so there. But for you, like you, I think I kind of agree. I had to go with Nic Nemeth overall, but that's just because, and I think someone commented on this, he's so good at making other people look good that it was just hard not to pick him. I mean, I could play devil's advocate and say I feel like Kofi had a better connection in the fans, maybe, although that's arguable. But if you look at that storyline he had for a little while with Kofi Mania, and winning the WWE Championship, like that was just such a huge moment. So I feel like that was a bigger pinnacle, just doing that at a WrestleMania. But that being said, if we're going bell to bell, yeah, I think Nic Nemeth is one of the best bell for bell guys we had in the last 10 years.
I don't think being in WWE has necessarily, I don't know, necessarily helped either one of these guys. They both had world title runs, but it didn't feel like maybe the company was like totally behind them enough. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like Kofi
Yeah.
Mania was so short, got ended by Brock Lesnar. I can't remember who beat Nic Nemeth, but that
Cashed
was at a
in.
time where it's like Dolph
Yeah.
Ziggler would have these runs where he'd be amazing in ring. He'd get close to title contention and then fade away and then do it again. You see what he looks like in TNA, he held and a New Japan championship for a while. He looks bigger outside of WWE. Do you think getting out of the company could help Kofi?
It's hard to say at this point in his career. Definitely initially. Um, Kofi's got that established veteran kind of, I don't know how, lack of a better word, label on him. Like he's just a guy that's going to have good matches. People react to him, but he's not going to be your franchise player. I think he's content with that right now. He's probably towards the end of his career in WWE, but God, he's so talented, like a Nic Nemeth, that yeah, if he wanted to leave, I'm sure he could be on a similar run somewhere, and you could really get behind him for sure. He could have some great matches in New Japan or anywhere he went. I think that working under Vince and being in that system, you could argue maybe they didn't get the most out of them. Unfortunately, though, there really wasn't an AEW or anything for most of their careers. There wasn't a WCW, and TNA just wasn't really a really big viable option at that time. So they kind of made the most out of what they could under the situations, which I think also speaks to their talent.
Yeah, I think if you went charisma wise or personality, Kofi could get the edge. Now, Kofi's not bad in ring, but I
Yeah,
don't think he's necessarily Nemeth level. And
yeah,
what I
I think
am liking is Kofi getting to, we had the rise of the New Day, and now it looks like we could be having a breakup in the New Day. So, what a way to go out of his career, kind of telling these big stories.
and let's talk about careers.
Careers, and watch alongs. So this Saturday, 8 p.m. We'll probably start at 7:55, somewhere in that area. We learned our lesson last week, but
Mhm.
we're doing a Wrestle Dream watch along. Check us out here on our YouTube channel right about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Excited for this card because I saw it looks like we have a full card. I'm sure we'll get a couple more matches tonight. So
11 matches,
leaving out
count 'em pre-show
pre-show.
so far.
What's that?
11 matches plus pre-show so far. Counting the pre-show.
All right, are we doing pre-show matches? Let's run down some predictions and let people know who we think is going to win tomorrow night.
All right, pre-show match: Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage, Ring of Honor TV Championship. I'll go with Brian Cage. I'm going to say they're due to put it on somebody who's going to be around a little more.
Mm, I'm going to
You go.
disagree. I'm going to say I'm assuming Atlantis Jr. holds the title. He is going to retain, and that is going to be kind of when they go to Max with ROH, it's going to give them some of that lucha flavor, which I'm
Mm.
assuming that they're trying to make a play for uh, ROH on Max with AEW.
All right, Mark Briscoe defending the Ring of Honor Championship against Chris Jericho. Um, I was kind of leaning towards Mark Briscoe here. Your reason for Atlantis Jr. is actually swaying me and making me pick Jericho here because I'm wondering if Jericho will have the Ring of Honor title when they get on Max.
That is one of those things where I don't want to see Mark Briscoe lose this championship, but just like I said with Atlantis Jr., thinking that they're trying to make the push to make ROH a more viable product to get on there, you got to put you got to put the title on a big name. They did it with Jericho before. They're going to do it again.
All right, Darby Allin versus Brody King. I got Darby going over here. Darby's got a story to tell. He's going to get beat up, but he'll win this.
Yeah, it's going to be that story where he's going to get rocked around. He is going to get beat up, but he's the one where there's some kind of focus on him, and he's going to get that win despite the odds.
All right, we got Shibata versus Jack Perry. Shibata's a great wrestler. He's the wrestler, but at the end of the day, he's not been positioned in a way that I believe they're going to take the title off of Jack Perry. So I got to think Jack Perry's going to keep the belt.
Yeah, this is bullshit. I want to say Shibata. Shibata should get the win, but like you said, it's not the time, and Jack Perry is going to get that victory.
Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Takeshita. I don't see Will Ospreay losing this title in a three-way. I say he gets the win over Takeshita because we're going to still build up to another match with him and Ricochet at some point.
Damn. I 100% see Ospreay losing that title. I see Takeshita as the one getting the win. And then I see another match with Ospreay and Ricochet coming out of this, maybe for the right to face Takeshita on their own.
Private Party versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Championships. Private Party has not been billed as credible challengers. They've tried to do that the last few weeks. Not enough time to convince me. I got Young Bucks here.
How much would that make Private Party if they got the win here?
It would mean something. They've done nothing to make me believe. They've made me believe that they're trying to just make us believe there's a chance here. But
yeah, and it's one of those things. They've had such a good tag division, but I feel like it's been criminally underrepresented.
mm-hmm.
You know, there's been times where we've seen other teams come up, but as of late, the Bucks have really held these titles. And if anybody's going to take these titles off the EVPs, I feel like it's got to be somebody, like a bigger team.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I don't think Private Party is going to be that team. I think this match is going to elevate Private Party. We're going to feel better about them, but the Bucks are going to get the win 100%.
Mariah May, Willow Nightingale, AEW Women's Championship. I like Willow. I just don't see Mariah May losing it yet. So I'm going to go with Mariah.
Yeah, same thing. I'd love to see Willow win it, but the real story with Mariah is the Toni Storm return. Not saying that Toni Storm's even coming back to reclaim that championship, Mm.
We'll see.
Nope, changing my mind. I'm gonna say Willow wins. Tony
Uh-huh.
costs Mariah the championship, and
Okay.
that's how you have the feud with Mariah and Tony going forward.
All right, grudge match here. Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. I feel like
Mm.
Hangman has been built up bigger, but that being said, I think that we're going to have a heel world champion soon. Hangman's been established clearly as a heel. I think Jay White gets the win here. Surprises us.
Wow. So Wrestle Dream really needed its version of that Bailey Nia Jax match. I don't care about this match particularly, but I will go with Hangman.
Okay.
Even though we had, the Jay White return lately, um, I've been liking a little more of what Hangman's doing, and I just feel him in the win here.
I like that you said that was the version of Bailey Nia Jax, because let me tell you about the next match. The M&M Collection, Mace and Monsieur versus the Acclaimed. I'll just go with the Acclaimed here, but this match means nothing to me.
Oh wow! See, I've loved that MXM collection. What they've been doing on the Indies, I feel like they've been entertaining. This definitely feels like a match that you put on to get them on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're featuring them versus like one of your bigger tag teams. I'm excited for this. I'm going the Acclaimed as well.
I did not enjoy. I was enjoying these guys in the beginning, but then when it all became about messing with Max Caster's jacket, and we had Billy Gunn hiding under like an S&M mask, I don't know. I don't know if you saw all this stuff, but I just didn't enjoy any of it.
I did not. Maybe I'll have to fully watch AEW.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Um, Hologram versus the Beast Mortos. I feel
2
like
out of 3 falls match.
this is a good match. I feel like this is more buzz for the Beast right now, but they've been pushing Hologram more. So it's buzz versus the push. What do they do? I'm gonna say we stick with Hologram. Stay the course. Hologram gets to win.
Yeah, I did not when I heard this match got announced, I was interested in it. I feel like it's got to be Hologram winning, but he's going to win 2 falls to 1. He's just going to eke it out.
All right. And finally, Bryan Danielson defends the AEW World Championship and his full-time career versus Jon Moxley. Man, I don't want Danielson to end his career just yet, but I feel like it makes the most sense that Moxley probably is the guy that's going to end it, and this is going to be the storyline. And I'm going to guess Real Yuta actually causes Danielson, thus putting Real Yuta over, and the Blackpool Combat Club, along with Pac, still have the trios title. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Ooh, that's interesting. I've got Bryan Danielson winning it because Moxley is going to try and do something to get that unfair advantage. Swerve Strickland's going to come in, make the save because he's going to want to take the title off Danielson himself.
Mm.
So I think we both have very involved finishes for the main event, but we see it ending 2 different ways.
Yeah, we shall see. See you this Saturday, AEW Wrestledream watch along.
Yes, that was This Week in Wrestling. Before we play the commercials for the people, anything else that's caught your eye from This Week in Wrestling?
No, I think we actually hit everything this weekend. I will just say, even though Tuesday was a really busy night, with Monday only being 2 hours and both shows being on Tuesday, it was kind of nice not really like having wrestling on Wednesday or Thursday. I felt like my schedule was a little more free up. So I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that.
100%. And to give people a preview of what we're doing, the thing I think I enjoyed this week in wrestling was Bad Blood 97. We are reviewing it for one of our pay-per-view review shows.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things of watching that late 90s WWF. There's things I don't remember that happen. There's, matchups that I wouldn't have expected. And especially seeing a pay-per-view, sadly, that occurred around a wrestler death. The
Yeah.
way that death was handled in the pay-per-view was interesting.
Yes, it was. It's a big wrestler's death around that time, and also just There's some unique matchups, unique wrestlers that you wouldn't expect around. And also, in retrospect, and we'll talk about it if you watch it, this pay-per-view is right before a very important pay-per-view that's about to happen too.
100%. So we really enjoyed that in wrestling. If you want to enjoy that episode, that's going to be coming out next week. But something that you don't have to wait till next week for is Game Up Hard Hydration. If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.
All you goddamn wrestling fans out there, listen, Old Black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle Black Bart. It's got some goddamn good stories in there about some goddamn good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erich, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best dadgum read you've had in a long, long time.
Get your book today at Russellville.com or on Amazon. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.